during the time, she already told me, Your Honor, that she was having sex with another guy.
A month before you and a month after you, sir.
During the time we were having sex, she had already told me this.
So I'm in the shower one day. I know everything that goes on in my house, so it's just a CD that I see that's out of place. I'm like, I didn't put this in here.
She was like, well, I'm single, but I'm having sex with this dude also. And plus, he was staying the night at her apartment.
I look up their Instagram. So I'm scrolling, and I see somebody holding my daughter. With it.
What?
Ms. Reeves walks in like, this guy won't admit he's the father of my kid. Silva's like, nope, not mine. Drama's already spicy, and you know this will be a roller coaster.
Ms. Reeves, you are here today to prove that the defendant, Mr. Silva, is the biological father of your 7-month-old son, Legend. Mr. Silva, you were involved in a paternity case on Love and Hip Hop Atlanta in support of your sister, who took a DNA test to prove paternity of her child.
Mr. Silva thinks it's okay for guys to cheat because they're guys, but women can't. Judge Lake isn't buying it, and the audience is cracking up. She calls him out, and it's about to get wild.
I just don't trust her, Your Honor. I feel like she's tricking me into believing that I'm Legend's father. I grew up loving women, loving sex.
You grew up loving sex?
I always felt like it was okay for men to go out, have sex, and especially with a baby, you know, trying to say that I'm his father. You know, I just want to.
All of this started, all he wanted to do was cheat on me. I've been nothing but faithful to him since I first met him.
Silva admits to cheating and assumes Ms. Reeves does too. Judge Lake's like, really? You think everyone's shady like you? The audience cheers, and Silva's starting to sweat. It's not looking good for him.
Why can't you conquer your doubt and conquer your fear that she's also doing something that she says she's not doing?
Well, Your Honor, I feel like if I'm out here, you know, doing what I'm doing whatever she's doing, she's possibly doing the same thing.
And why would that be so wrong? Because you can't take what you dish out? I'm trying to understand.
Ms. Reeves says Silva accuses her of cheating because he's cheating. He caught her texting her ex, but she's like, it was just a high. Trust issues are everywhere. And they dig into the messy pregnancy drama next.
Well, we was broken up at the time. Immediately, as soon as I told him that I was pregnant, he was like, oh, okay, with who?
We were broken up for 4 weeks, Your Honor. I caught her texting her ex.
When you
I confronted her
with
about texting her ex. No, I caught them texting multiple times. She claims they're just friends. I had it. One day, I just decided to try to go in her phone, and she changed her password on me.
Silva says they were broken up when she got pregnant, so he's doubting it. He showed up at the birth and signed the certificate because her family was staring him down. He felt pressured, but things are about to get even messier.
In the hospital, none but her family was there. I was by myself. You know, I came in. As soon as Legend was born, the doctor came in the room, straight to me and gave me the paper. I didn't want to make her look bad, so
so you signed the birth certificate?
Yes, I felt pressure to sign this.
And if you start talking about DNA tests and not signing birth certificate, it sheds a negative light on her.
Yes, Your Honor.
Silva says the baby looks like her ex. Ms. Reeves fires back with proof that he was messaging other women. Silva admits he was grimy. The courtroom's buzzing, and there's a lot of baggage here, with DNA results on the way.
Like, well, I have proof right here. A girl, she messaged me basically saying that, you know, they was talking. He was her boyfriend as well. He didn't know me. I'm just
So you got a message out of the blue from another woman. And it says, he told me you were his ex and that you were pregnant, but you're and didn't know who the dad was.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Reeves gets emotional, saying she wants their son to feel loved. Silva, still unsure, says he doesn't want to raise another man's kid. It's tense, and you can feel the weight of their struggles. The results are next.
I just feel a little hurt, you know what I mean? Because, like, we have a beautiful baby together, and I don't want him to grow up feeling like, oh, my daddy didn't even think that I was his. You know, we were just being irresponsible. I want him to love me the way that I love my. I want him to grow up the same way that I grew up, both of his parents in his life.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Silva, you are the father.
Mr. Walker's here to prove he's Kai Manny's dad after being told he's not, even though he's on the birth certificate. Ms. DeVos regrets letting him sign it and insists he's not the dad. Emotions are high, and the drama's just starting.
Mr. Walker, you claim the defendant led you to believe you fathered her son, Kamani, for an entire year, but just 6 months ago told you you are not father and refuses to let you see him. You are here to prove that Kamani is your biological son.
Mr. Walker was there for the pregnancy and birth, confident Kai Manny is his son. Ms. DeVos doesn't blink while saying he's not. Ouch. You can't help but feel for Mr. Walker, and the judge is about to ask some big questions.
But Mr. Walker, you are certain this is your biological child?
Yes, Your Honor, this is my son right here.
And then for the past 6 months, you have not seen him?
I haven't been allowed to see my son the last 6 months because Miss DeVos claims that I am not the father.
But you're on the birth certificate.
I was there the whole time, the whole pregnancy, and they're at the hospital.
They met in foster care and had a kind of relationship. They got close, things happened, and now we're here. hear, but trust me, this isn't the juiciest part of their story.
We met when we was in foster care. We was like this group home setting for to live on their own independently. We met there, we became friends. When I went away to school, we had lost touch or whatever. And then I came back, I don't know, somehow we got back in contact. I was like over his house every day. It was like a getaway. We wasn't in a relationship, but a situation like we was together.
Mr. Walker was thrilled at the pregnancy, and she said it was his, until she later mentioned seeing someone else too. The judge's questions are about to get very awkward.
When she first told me she was pregnant, I was excited. I asked her if it was mine. She said, yeah, you're the father.
Ms. DeVos, do you remember that conversation?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you tell Mr. Walker he was your child's biological father?
Yes, but at the time, I thought he was the father. He was the one I was with.
Ms. DeVos admits she hid the other guy because she was scared, didn't want to be alone. Mr. Walker stepped up, even working 2 jobs. It's messy and emotional, but something explosive is definitely coming.
I was scared. Being a first-time mother, I went through the system too, and I just never wanted to tell him that it wasn't his because I knew the situation he'd been through, and I didn't want to go through it alone. When he stepped up to being here, got 2 jobs, and I couldn't work when I was pregnant because he was a big baby.
Ms. DeVos chose Mr. Walker as dad because he was there, not the other guy. It wasn't about love, it was convenience. The judge looks ready to dive deeper, and you know it's about to get intense.
Why did you make the choice of Mr. Walker?
My ex was in another city. He was in the same city as me, so he's here, he's the father.
When you say you didn't want to do this alone, so you just chose the man that was closest to you, was ready to step up, so you would have someone to go through this process with.
Text messages show Ms. DeVos telling Mr. Walker he's not Kaimani's dad, via text. Mr. Walker says he's staying as long as he's on the birth certificate. The judge calls her out, and it's about to get even messier.
So it says, you say you kicked me out with damn near no place to go. You wasn't thinking about our son or anything. He's not your son. So as long as I'm on the birth certificate, I'm not going anywhere. You ruined my whole life. You're not his father. You ruined your own life. You cold-blooded.
Kaimani calls the other guy daddy on video calls, which hits Mr. Walker hard. The judge highlights how complicated this is for Kaimani. Everyone's waiting for the DNA results, and the tension is real.
Kaimani is 14 months old now. When he sees your ex, he refers to him as daddy?
Yes.
Did you know that, Mr. Walker?
No, I didn't, but around the time that I left the house, he was already getting ready to start saying dada to me, so I don't know.
No, he wasn't.
The DNA results reveal
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Walker, you are not the father.
I'm sorry.
Judge Lake kicks off a paternity showdown over 3-year-old Samarai. Ms. Lusk says Desmond is the dad, but his mom says no way. And apparently Desmond was seeing someone else, making this a total soap opera.
Ms. Lusk, you and your mother say you have no doubt whatsoever when it comes to knowing who your 3-year-old daughter, Samari's biological father, the man you claim is her father, has died, and now you find yourself facing off against his mother, who is just as convinced that she is not your daughter's grandmother.
Ms. Lusk talks about raising her daughter alone after getting pregnant at 16. She's upset because Ms. Page has shut her daughter out. The frustration is real, and you can tell things are just getting started.
Extremely difficult being pregnant at 16, having to still go through school. These past 4 years, everything has been on me and my mother. He has a whole other side. My daughter is beautiful, and you missed out on 4 years.
Everybody's
Not only
a
me.
single parent. You're
You're
not the only
absolutely
one.
correct, but you
Let's get
raised
some
Desmond
order.
by yourself.
Ms. Page says Ms. Lusk only wants a $50,000 insurance payout left by Desmond. Ms. Lusk looks shocked, saying she didn't know about the money. The back and forth feels like an intense ping pong match.
They're out for money. I had insurance on
What
my
money?
son. I had an insurance policy. They're out for
That we
money.
knew nothing about.
No, unless it's proven it's not my son's
You
baby.
never
I
posted
know
it on
anything
Facebook.
about-
And so this insurance policy is in the amount of $5,000. It is your testimony today. Ms. Lusk is attempting to get a portion of that money.
Yes.
Ms. Lusk says she and Desmond were sneaking around during her school breaks. Ms. Page isn't buying it at all. It's a fight over who knows him better, but there's a kid involved, making it a big deal.
It was a normal time scheduled routine that I would actually come over there because we had times that I would come over to see him because he only stayed a few blocks from my school. Whether it was gym or my lunch period, I would go.
When was
Absolutely
the first
correct.
time you
I did it.
physically saw me? When you proclaimed you were pregnant, you was very sick, no stomach, looking like an innocent child.
Yes,
You
ma'am.
asked
Yes,
to
ma'am.
see my child. You asked to go to the school. Of course she wasn't showing.
Ms. Anderson, Ms. Lusk's mom, told Ms. Page about the pregnancy on Facebook. Ms. Page brushes it off, calling her son a legend with women. Meanwhile, Judge Lake tries to stop it from becoming a shouting match.
I
Do you know what happened?
contacted Miss Page through Facebook to tell her to call me. And that's when I broke the news to her about my daughter being pregnant by her son. The very first thing she said to me is, my son is a legend. My son has women coming out the woodwork. She seemed proud. Her son had no reason to be doing whatever he was doing in his past.
Ms. Page says she's only seen Samarai once at a birthday party. She held her for a second, but hasn't connected since. Ms. Lusk says Ms. Page doesn't even try, making things even messier.
I seen her one time by accident at an acquaintance birthday party.
She had the opportunity, yes ma'am.
Yes, Miss Lust, I held her and I got a picture. Take her
You had a
someone want
few.
to see. Did she
You had
even
a few.
favor the family?
You posted it on Facebook.
To be honest, I don't
This
want
is my
Samira
first time
around
seeing
me.
you, Miss Anderson.
Yes, it is, and my first time and hopefully last seeing you.
Judge Lake explains how both women are still grieving Desmond, making everything harder. She also calls them out for airing drama on social media. It's a needed reality check, but the courtroom is still chaotic.
Miss Page is grieving. She doesn't even have a person to review these facts with. Desmond, I need to talk to you about this, and this, so I can get an understanding. Much of this animosity, ma'am, and I hope I'm not speaking, but much of this pain and animosity that is coming out in your testimony is because you do feel like you have a situation before you.
Ms. Lusk says she found out she was pregnant days after Desmond died. She couldn't go to his funeral because she felt out of place. Her tears make even Ms. Page show some vulnerability.
I believe 4 days after his passing, that's when I took my own pregnancy test and found out I was pregnant. That was April 24th. His funeral was April 27th. I didn't go to his funeral. Like, how can I even go? I can't even support somebody.
I didn't have time to grieve. I didn't have time to grieve either. The day after my son's first daughter was born, I understand.
Judge Lake reads the DNA results.
It has been determined by this court. The probability of relatedness between Miss Page and Samari Page is 99.96%.
This case starts off wild, like a spaghetti-covered kid. It's Johnson vs. Kirby. Mr. Johnson says, "Not my kid," while Ms. Kirby insists he is. She says Caden needs his dad. Mr. Johnson's dodging responsibility. Buckle up, it's about to get messier.
Mr. Johnson, you are here to prove you are not the biological father of Miss Kirby's 11-month-old son, Caden. You claim her accusations are causing trouble in your relationship, and you are certain the results will clear your name.
This is like arguing over spilled milk, except the milk is a baby. Johnson says Kirby's ruining his life by claiming he's the dad. She insists they planned Caden, and now Johnson's ghosting. He stays firm, denying it's his kid. Things are about to escalate.
She's trying to pin a child on me that ain't mine. And she's causing problems in my current relationship.
How am I causing issues in your current relationship when you just called to me yesterday? So what are you talking about, sir?
I'm not trying to keep up with you. I just wanted to know, is this really happening?
So you think she's trying to pin a baby on you?
Yes, Your Honor.
Johnson drops a sad bombshell. His dad abandoned him. He claims he'd never leave a kid, unless it's not his. Kirby says he's doing exactly that to Caden. Johnson repeats, "That baby ain't mine." And next, it's all about who looks like who.
Mr. Johnson, did you grow up with a father in your life?
No, Your Honor. I was premature. I was in the hospital for 6 months. While I was in the
Now
hospital,
my baby have issues.
my father abandoned me.
Now you
And
abandoned
my
Caden.
mother. I would never do a child like that I know that's mine. And this baby is not mine.
And so you're saying you know what it feels like to be abandoned?
Yes, Your Honor.
They met during a blackout, went shopping, exchanged numbers, then boom, sex. Kirby says she liked him, but Johnson says it was just a fling. Their stories clash and the judge tries not to laugh. But there's more drama when they reveal who else was around.
We was working at this job and then we had a blackout. During the blackout, we decided to go to the store. We in my car, driving to the store. Charmaine started talking sexual.
Why would I talk sexual to you when
Because-
I'm dealing with someone?
Wait, what was she saying?
Here's where it gets messy. Johnson says Kirby told him she was seeing someone else too. She admits it, but claims Johnson is the dad. Johnson's like, "I'm 1 out of 3? It's like bad reality TV, and conception dates are next."
During the time, she already told me, Your Honor, that she was having sex with another guy.
A month before you and a month after you, sir.
During the time we were having sex, she had already told me this. She was like, "Well, I'm single, but I'm having sex with this dude also." And plus, he was staying the night at her apartment.
Johnson finds out on Facebook he might be a dad. He messages Kirby, and at first she says no, then switches to yes. Johnson's confused and says she's playing games. Things are about to get even weirder.
I was at this party and I was scrolling on social media and I seen her post something about she don't need help with her child. So I hit her up. I was like, "Are you pregnant?" She was like, "Yeah." "Is the baby mine?" She was like, "No." So I left the party and went to her house. And then she flipped the script and was saying, well, yes, you are the father.
Kirby says she did the math and conceived around when she slept with Johnson. He doubts it, since others were involved. The judge sighs as she explains again. It's confusing, and there's more with the baby's health coming up.
Because I did the calculations, we had sex July 10th, and this the amount of time that I could see Caden.
But I thought you slept with him within a 24-hour window of meeting him, and you also were in a sexual relationship with the other man.
Me and him had sex July 10th on our way when we got back from Clarksville.
Kirby explains Caden has health issues, like needing a G-tube. She says Johnson hasn't helped at all, while he says she didn't give him a chance. The arguments are non-stop. Soon an expert will shed light on Caden's condition.
My baby has health issues. He has a G-tube, so we back and forth from different doctors, ENT, G-tube clinic, all that. And he's also albino.
I didn't even know that this child was albino, and plus, no one's in my family albino. Has no trait of it.
Expert explains albinism happens when both parents carry a hidden gene. Despite the clear explanation, Johnson shakes his head in disbelief. Kirby looks hopeful, but spoiler alert, he's not convinced until the DNA says otherwise.
So albinism is a very rare disease. Less than 1 in 20,000 children have it, and it is the absence of pigment, both in the hair, skin, and sometimes eyes.
How does it get passed down to a child? Is it
Each parent, even though they look phenotypically or to the eyes normally pigmented, carry an abnormal gene.
The big moment.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Johnson, you are the father.
Ms. Ferguson brings her mom, Ms. Munsell, to court after finding out her dad, Ken Ferguson, might not actually be her dad. Apparently, mom was seeing multiple guys when Ms. Ferguson was conceived, and now a paternity test is the only way to know. Buckle up, this family drama is just getting started.
Ms. Ferguson, you've brought your mother to court today because you were recently shocked to learn that Ken Ferguson, who raised you your entire life, you have petitioned the court for a paternity test on Mr. Ferguson, whom we'll hear from in a moment. You acknowledge that you finally confessed to your daughter that you slept with more than one man at the time of her conception.
Ms. Ferguson explains how her mom treated her like background noise while spending time with friends and boyfriends. It all got worse when Ms. Ferguson discovered her mom's cheating. And it's not over. Wait till you hear about the stepdad's role in all this.
My mom goes through crazy moments and acts like her family never is there, acts like her 2 daughters are never the only ones that just want her attention and to her and be there for her. So she was treating us like crap. She was acting like we never are there for her. She went, not even the husband, so we all felt lean on when she actually didn't have anyone else around her.
Judge Lake steps in, trying to bring some sense to this chaos. She points out the pain Ms. Ferguson feels and urges Ms. Munsell to think about her daughter's feelings. It's a rare moment of calm, but let's see if anyone takes it to heart.
Do you think as a parent, as a mother, it's more difficult for you to endure maybe this moment? Or would it be more difficult to stand there as a young woman who your father is? You don't know who he is.
Do you understand why I think he could not be my father?
Ms. Ferguson shares how her stepdad revealed that Ken Ferguson might not be her real dad. She's not even surprised after all her mom's affairs. It's like a soap opera, and things are about to get even messier when Ken speaks up.
We were talking for about 4 hours, and when he told me, I became quiet because it hit me with realization like, wow, seeing her sleep with so many guys, that this doesn't shock me at all. The night he told me, I went my pictures around and was just trying to look at every little figure that we could have alike. I see cheekbones, other things too.
Ms. Munsell tries to apologize, but ends up making excuses, leaving Ms. Ferguson rolling her eyes. It's awkward, like trying to fix a broken vase with tape. The years of hurt are too much for a quick apology.
I came here for you to do this. And that's what you're gonna do, is you're gonna drag it all out. When you stood there and you told me all it was to find out about your dad. I'm not a perfect mom. I never tried to be. I never, I did what I could do. But I love you and I never once regretted having you.
The big reveal.
When it comes to Alicia Ferguson, Mr. Ferguson, you are her father.
The court starts, and Mr. Smith shares why he's here to prove he's the dad of his 4-year-old daughter, Cookie. He's already on the birth certificate and has been calling himself daddy since day one.
Mr. Smith, you have brought your estranged wife to court to prove that you are are the biological father of her 4-year-old daughter, Christina Cookie Smith. You signed the birth certificate and have been daddy since she was born and claim you know you are her father.
Mrs. Smith drops a bomb and says, well, actually, Cookie might belong to someone else, which makes the audience gasp louder than a crowd watching fireworks. This messy case is just warming up, and things are about to get even juicier.
Mrs. Smith, you admit that you allowed your husband to sign the birth certificate and initially believed he was Cookie's father, but as your daughter got older, she no longer looked like him. And now you believe another man is her dad.
Mr. Smith finds his wife's old phone, flips through it, and boom, text messages and photo that make his head spin. It's not just, hey, how are you? Messages. These are I miss you texts, plus some nude pics.
We actually end up getting new phones around that time.
Okay.
So it's just like the other phones were kind of lingering around. So I'm just casually just going through them. And I saw text messages, some photos between my wife and some other cat. I miss you. When you miss a person, apparently you've seen them before. Nude photos.
Oh!
You know what I mean?
He packs his bags, calls his mom, because of course you go to mom in times like this, and moves out. You won't believe what happens next. Just wait. It's about to get even crazier.
So what happened, Mr. Smith, when you see these text messages?
I basically, I let my parents know what was going on, and I packed up and I left. I had to, just to, because she's my support. She helps me on everything. You know what I mean?
Mrs. Smith announces she's pregnant and uses it as a chance to patch things up. Mr. Smith, feeling all kinds of love, jumps back in, ready to be the best husband and dad ever.
When I found out I was pregnant, we were very excited. I told Christian we weren't together. I thought that this could be a chance for us to reconnect and make our marriage work. He agreed, and shortly after we got back together.
Mr. Smith, when you found out she was pregnant, were you happy about it?
Extremely happy. I didn't know what love was until I met this person.
He's there for the birth, signing the certificate, and watching Cookie enter the world with all the pride of a guy who thinks he's got it all figured out. But oh boy, little does he know, this happy moment is just the calm before another storm.
Were you there at the hospital when she was born?
I made priority number one. It was a cesarean section. Made sure it was, since I couldn't cut the cord. I asked the doctor, can I lean over? Can I see? Because you can only see that one time. So now, when Cookie is 18, 21, 40, I can tell her
that
I saw you come into this earth. First time you just.
While showering one day, Mr. Smith notices something weird. A random CD sitting where it doesn't belong. Turns out it's got some guy's number on it, and curiosity sends him down the rabbit hole.
So I'm in the shower one day. I know everything that goes on in my house, so it's just a CD that I see that's out of place. I'm like, I didn't put this in here. That number, it's just something about that number. I ain't forget about that number. And then I saw an Instagram name, so I immediately I look up their Instagram. So I'm scrolling, and I see somebody holding my daughter. With it.
What?
After a little Instagram snooping, he finds a photo of this mystery dude cheesing with Cookie, looking like he's auditioning for Proud Dad of the Year. Mrs. Smith finally admits she hooked up with this guy, Joseph, and things get super awkward.
With a cheese on their face, like it's all happy and everything. It did have a caption, but I not for word verbatim, but it was something in the line of him claiming her, though. It was that.
This is the photo you saw on Instagram?
Honestly, though, I don't like looking at that at all.
You can't even look at it.
No.
Joseph says he met Mrs. Smith when she was separated and had no idea she was married. He's all like, we hit it off. I didn't know about her husband. And oh yeah, I met Cookie when she was 2.
I seen her walking down the sidewalk, and I actually ran behind her, and we exchanged numbers. We talked on the phone for a little bit.
Did she tell you she was married?
No, ma'am. I had no clue.
So when did you find out about the baby?
I don't know a time verbatim, but the first time that I've seen Cookie in person she was 2 years old. You know what? I don't even remember verbatim. I don't.
He describes meeting Cookie and feeling like she already knew him, which gives him that, maybe I'm her dad vibe. But wait, Joseph isn't the only guy calling himself dad, and the situation just keeps getting messier.
When I seen her, she looks just like my dad. She looks just like us, so, I never really doubted it. You understand what I'm saying? I always thought that, this is my child.
You find out, you accept it, you've got this little girl. Do you make plans to stay in her life?
Yes, ma'am, I did, but at the same time, I wasn't in a position to a structure of a good parent.
Mr. Smith and Joseph both want to be in Cookie's life, and they're both like, she's my baby. Mrs. Smith finally admits she's been keeping secrets, and everyone's trying to figure out what's going on.
You still were allowing Mr. Prater to see her behind your husband's back.
I didn't even know any of that.
And Mr. Prater, you did not know about Mr. Smith.
Couldn't find the right time to say anything about it.
When you have issues like this, the right time is the soonest time available.
The judge opens the results, and bam.
It has been determined by this court. The biological father is Mr. Prater. I'm sorry.